Believe it or not, the F-14 Tomcat was not the largest aircraft ever put on an aircraft carrier, and in fact it wasn't even the only swept-wing aircraft that was attempted to be put on an aircraft carrier. Before we dive into this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Only about 9% of my current viewers are subscribed, and it helps the channel out and means the world to me. So, the F-111B. This is an aircraft that, if you guys weren't too familiar with the F-14 Tomcat, you would know nothing about it. And if you are familiar with the Tomcat, you probably know something about this aircraft, because it's what was born out of the need for the Tomcat. So, the United States Navy was seeking an aircraft that had long-range capabilities to go after Soviet bombers. And for them, that was the F-111B. It was going to feature the AN/AWG-9 pulse Doppler radar and 6 of the Navy's finest AIM-54 Phoenix missiles. The Air Force version was going to be outfitted for air-to-ground, featuring an AN/APQ-113 attack radar and the AN/APQ-110 terrain following radar and air-to-ground ordnance. Now, the Navy had a lot of issues, to be honest, with the F-111B. The F-111B was just blatantly way too heavy. It's very similar in size to the Tomcat, but remember, the F-111B has an entire escape pod for the crew members. They sit in a armored 3-person escape capsule, whereas in the Tomcat, having the pilot and the weapons systems officer, you had an actual ejection seat. You didn't have that in the F-111. You had an actual ejection capsule. Now, only 7 prototypes were built before the program was canceled in 1968. But the story obviously did not end there. The radar, engines, and missile systems from the F-111B were carried over to the Grumman F-14 Tomcat. Now, I want to note that the F-111B just was a failed attempt from the get-go. Lacking experience with carrier-based fighters, General Dynamics, the company that made the F-111, was just utterly outclassed. So they teamed up with Grumman for assembly and test of the F-111B. In addition, Grumman would also build the F-111A, aft fuselage, and the landing gear. Now, that just didn't end up ultimately working for the F-111B, because the weight goals for both F-111 versions proved to be very overly optimistic. And that's just, very issuematic with an aircraft that is supposed to fly off of an aircraft carrier. For obvious reasons, you can't have a brick that you're trying to use. With the F-111B program in distress, Grumman began studying improvements and alternatives. In 1966, the Navy awarded Grumman a contract to begin studying advanced fighter designs. Grumman narrowed down these designs to its Model 303 design. With this, the F-111B's end appeared in that mid-1967s and was finalized in 1968. During March 1968 congressional hearings for the aircraft, Vice Admiral Thomas F. Connolly, then Deputy Chief of Naval Operations for Air Warfare, responded to a question from Senator John C. Stennis as to whether a more powerful engine would cure the aircraft woes, saying, "There isn't enough power in all the world to make that airplane do what we want." So, clearly, the F-111B was just failed from the get-go. I think the reason the F-111B failed, so tremendously was obviously it was way too heavy from the start. You had a company that did not know what they were doing for naval warfare or naval aircraft or carrier operations at all. And then that, just did not have a recipe for success. Now, the F-111B program obviously did have a lot of things that came out of it. The F-14 Tomcat came out of the F-111B program. The Phoenix, the AN/AWG-9 pulse Doppler radar. All of these things came out of the F-111B project. Now, in War Thunder, the F-111B would probably be super similar to an F-14 Tomcat. It would be heavier. It'd be, I believe, just a hair either faster or slower. I don't actually remember if it's faster than the F-111A, or if it's. I think it is a little bit slower in the deck, but higher at high altitudes. I'd have to double check that, so don't quote me on that. But it probably just sit 0.3 below the F-14A or the F-14A's BR, because it has the Phoenix, has that long-range missile capabilities, but it lacks access to things like the Sparrow, I don't remember if it could carry I think it could carry 2 sidewinders, and I think there were, I think it was never tested with a gun, if I remember correctly, because of weight. I don't believe they ever put a gun on the F-111B. If you guys know if they did, please let me know down below, because I am not finding anything here in my notes about it carrying the gun. Obviously, the F-111 did live on as in a very successful role with the United States Air Force, served for a very long time. The F-111B just never worked. Please let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Let me know if you guys would want to see the F-111B come to the game. Do you guys want to see a naval F-111 with Phoenixes? I think it'd be crazy cool. If you guys are not already subscribed, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.